all the time, but I stay awake to escape dreaming of you all the time. And yet, through all the escaping, my thoughts still end up running to you, staying with you and growing with you. I try to not make everything about you, but my heart doesn't accept that limitation, because in there, everything is still you. You were the first person I worry about when I wake up, and you were the last person I have on my mind before my eyes shut, and that's where I see you in my dreams. We're happy. We're laying there admiring each other. We want to be something more when we're there. We can't even speak a word to each other when we're awake, but when we dream, we speak in a language that can't be transcribed. We don't even have to say a word when we're laying there. Your glance, your lips, and your smile say it all. But in the end, none of this changes the fact that when I wake up, I feel like I can't say a word to you. Because in my dreams, I'm living with you, but in reality, you're threatening to move out.
Well, that song's certainly a shift, isn't that? Hello, everybody. How you doing? Oh my goodness, my body hates me. I am tired. My back is achy, especially between my shoulders. Next week, I'm not streaming Monday. Fuck this shit. I spent a lot of... Well, yesterday after stream, I made food and went off to work. Came home, had dinner, watched some Dragon Ball Abridged, which I think I'm gonna drop. The jokes are kind of archaic. Archaic in that way that you're like, ooh, you can't say that these days. But it's a lot of that, and I don't have nostalgia for it. And it's humorous, but it's not funny enough that I'm like laughing. I've got other shit to watch. So I'm gonna say bye vagina to that. And I played some Genshin, because I'm just doing quest stuff, little quests and whatnot, considering that that's not something you can do co-op. And I want to try to get to level 20 so that I can get a character that I want. Went to sleep. Did not sleep great. My body woke me up at 2:30. You know when I went to bed? After 11. I went to bed after 11 and my body was like, hey, it's 2:30. You're still tired, but do you want to be awake? And I'm like, no. Too bad, it says. Yeah, I found in the last few days that, like, between 5 and 6, that my body just really, really wants to be asleep. So I'm trying to... Part of the other thing that I did while Dragon Ball Z Abridged was running in the background was trying to figure out how I can change my schedule to accommodate the fact that I don't want to do 6 a.m. fucking streams. Because I need to be sleeping then. I actually got good sleep 2 nights ago. I stayed up until a little bit after 11, got up at 7, was ready for stream by 8, and like that worked well for me. I felt mostly rested. It was great. I would like that again. I haven't come up with anything yet, so I don't know what I don't know what my schedule might look like, just because of when my work days are and the times that I have to be at work. Like, Sunday works out because I don't have a time that I have to be there. So I can stream as late as I want and then show up and do my job and then come home, you know? But I've also really been valuing having 2 full days off back to back. I feel like I've been able to be super productive but not feel like I spent all of my time doing shit and like I still had relaxation time. I don't know. It's a juggling puzzle, I guess, that I don't know how to solve yet. How's everybody? Let me say hi. Simon, thank you for being a patron of the hype for 31 months. I hope you enjoyed your parade, and here's your royal salute. And figure 4 and JP. Saturday night, I went to bed at 4 a.m. It still counts as Saturday night. 5 is like when it starts being the next day, in my opinion. Waiting for my 3D printer to finish, only to have it clog somewhere within the first hour of my sleep. No! So I stayed up till 4 for no reason. No! I'm so sorry. Oh, that's tragic. Toasty! Need to get some good sleep to prepare for New World release. Oh, you can't... Oh, you can't just say... You can't just say things like that to me, Toasty. Although, turning me on is a surefire way to wake me the fuck up. I got jokes. Hey, El Ravager, Arctic Vector. 12 o'clock is the next night. I disagree. I think that if you are staying up, it still counts as the previous day. I know that, like, technically, like, if you're doing medicine or science, like, you want to stick to conventional means of time telling. But colloquially, it's still the same day until you go to sleep, except for if you stay up till like 5 or 6 in the morning, then it's the next day, you've just stayed up till the next day. But if I stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah, technically the date rolled over a couple hours ago. It's still the previous night, like fuck that shit. I'm not gonna be like, on Sunday, I blah blah blah. No. I'm just gonna say, so on Saturday I was doing this, that, blah blah blah, I stayed up till 2. Implying that 2 belongs to Saturday. Know how to get the ladies excited. Smo! Fungus and Smos. Fungus and Smo. We don't have a release date yet, do we? I'm so curious as to how this this alpha has been going. I'm sad that I didn't get in. I didn't assume that I would. I didn't think that I would, but I still wanted it. New World Preview. I know it's not available yet. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. Wow. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it still just says spring. I was just curious. Spring. You think we can get it? When is winter considered over? Is it April? Anyway, it's releasing in spring and I want it now. I want it now and now. People are getting to play it right now. They can't talk about it or stream it. But people currently right now are playing New World and I'm just like, grabby hands. I want the game. Very excited to play that. Cannot wait. I think they're gonna wait till after Cyberpunk. When is that? And why would you think that? Got a call from the police, finished the course. First the documents are done, I just need to do the medical test. Then I need to wait a couple months for... You spell bureaucracy weird. To be fair, bureaucracy is spelled like a pile of bullshit. Hey Chaz, oh what up? To clarify the print I waited to 4 did finish successfully. I put it on after so I could get the print while sleeping in. Is the one that failed. Okay. But still. Spring-ish. Yeah, it's, the Steam page says spring 2021. I just want it. I just want it. I'm super curious about the lore in that game. They got that sick lore. Did see something about another preview. I thought I saw the same too. You're eating cookies. What kind of cookies? Wanted me to... It's autocracy. Okay, I did not spell it correctly either. Let's see. Did I get it this time? I don't know how to spell it. I just know that that's wrong. Because it's all French and whatnot. There you go. I know it's B-U-R, and then the part in between that and Cressy, I don't remember. I know there's an E in there, and then I forget. Hey Wraith Dagger, how you doing? So yeah, I'm just waiting for New World, man. I don't know where I was going with this. New World and Predecessor. Like, I love Predecessor. I really liked Paragon when it was out. Or I guess when I played it in Alpha, I really liked it. But back then I was a little bit less able to still have a good time even if my team was a pile of turds. So like once it was out of Alpha and people weren't playing with the same sort of care, I got frustrated because it's a MOBA and you have to work together as a team and no one was doing that, and that's always a big frustration for me. Nowadays, I guess because I'm older, I'm getting old, so I'm able to still play the game, and even if it's like not the best match, like I just focus on what I'm doing, making sure that I'm making the right decisions and that I'm playing well, and like that's enough for me. You know? Does that make sense? And playing Genshin, where do I pick up that official quest thing? I don't know. I know you weren't asking me, but I have no idea. Man alive, I'm exhausted. Okay, let's start Elite Dangerous. We have a long way to go. I'm gonna keep the music playing there. It does have like a boot up little like tune that plays. So if you hear double music, it'll go away. Yeah, let's get the game going. Let me grab my throttle. Come back, get over here. I also gotta figure out what I'm doing for my streamiversary. I know that I'm gonna be in Seattle. So it's going to involve Will and Fiona, and if you don't know either of them, then you're slacking. You should know them. They are very good friends of mine. And they're wonderful, and they've got great communities, and you should go hang out with them. But yeah, it's gonna be a pretty mellow one. A pretty mellow streamiversary. I know normally I like plan some random ass thing, like I'm gonna pretend to be Miss Cleo and do fortune telling, or or I'm going to do an awards show where I pretend to be like an unhinged host. That was very Devolver of me before I understood, before I knew in my heart, before I knew Devolver. It's the event thing, has 3 phases, it's convoluted. I got stuck in a quest last night, so I started doing, I just jumped topics. It's fine. I was doing Lisa's quest to like find the library books. Oh no, just kidding. I was doing that one, but it was just really cute. I didn't get stuck on that one. I got stuck on the one before, and I was like, you know what, I'll just muck around with Lisa then. It was one where I have to collect boxes of invoices, and you get to the 3rd one, and somebody has the box, and they're like, I want this item. Give it to me, I want 3 of them. And I'm like, okay, fine. But also, I can't find... It's like some type of ore, I think, and I can't fucking find... I don't remember any of my keybinds, I just realized. I'm sitting here going, oh, I need to open... Well, throttle is the same. I don't remember what I bound to my stick, though. Because my muscle memory has my old stick and it had all the buttons on the base of it. So with my new glorious gunfighter, I have no idea what the hell my keybinds are. Luckily, I'm just jumping, so I don't really need many buttons, and I'll figure it out. Oops, that's not what I meant. No, not what I meant. It's been a little while, guys. Sorry, I'm having trouble staying on topic. We're re-plotting to the Ass Garage. I'm trying to make my way back to the bubble so that we can do combat and canyon flying and all sorts of stuff that will actually utilize this fancy stick that I have instead of exploring, which I will always do more exploring. I really like exploring. It's fun. It's pretty chill. We're still waiting on the route. Let me catch up on chat and then I'll try and jump back my 80 topics that I'm discussing. Check it out later. Let you know if I figured out. Unlock most of the event content by 4 unknown star. What? That sentence doesn't even make sense. What kind of ore? I don't remember. Mana, Lady Lecter in the morning. How you doing? So we still have 212 jumps. I don't know how many we're gonna get through today. But I'm gonna do my best. Oh, goodness. Oh, turning. Oh, turning, why are you like this? Was this jump? I don't remember. I'm guessing that it would have been something up. I was right. But yeah, it's some kind of ore, and I ran around the immediate area, like around and around and around. Couldn't find anything. So I have no idea where I'm supposed to even go to secure that. I could have looked it up, but I didn't even think to do that. I was like, I've got other quests. And instead I took Lisa on a date, and that was nice. It was cute. I still haven't finished her quest line, but we got to buy her a present, and we got her flowers, and we took her out to eat. And she's being real flirty, and they let you be flirty back, and it's nice. I had an extensive conversation about Community yesterday. It's a great show. Delicious water. So that's what I was saying about Genshin, and then before that I was talking about what? Oh, my streamiversary. So it'll be Friday the 27th. I'll probably start no earlier than noon. It'll be a later stream. Maybe 2 o'clock. I don't know. I'll have to see. But we're gonna do a best of the stream. So if you have the most iconic moments or super, super memorable moments from stream, if you've got clips, that's even better. And I'm looking for specifics. I know I asked in the suggestions channel, but people were giving me just generic, you do this thing. It's yeah, I do that all the time. That's not a special moment. Or a moment that we had as a community, or with, or even offline. Say you had a really touching moment with the community and you don't mind sharing that. That's something that I would like to hear about, even if I wasn't involved. Because it's not all about me. Yes, I make the rules and I set the boundaries, but I'm the host of a party. Yeah, I'm there, and I'm highly featured, and it's all my belongings were in my house or something. But you can be playing a game with people over there. You can be having a conversation with people over there, and I'm not privy to that because I can't be all of the places all at once, even if I would like to, because extrovert. You know. So I looked through my own clips and pulled some stuff, but if you have suggestions, you can leave them in the box, or if you're not comfortable with that, but you still want to tell me like a nice moment with the community that you had, you can DM me. So I'm thinking I'll do like a best of and be like, oh my gosh, remember when? Remember when? And then me and Will and Fiona will probably play a co-op game. And that's how that's gonna go. I'm thinking that's how that's gonna be. And I'm very tempted to do a giveaway for a game. I don't know what game though. Initially I was like, every Supergiant game that exists. And then I was like, that is a lot of money. Maybe I should wait until my finances are more financial. And by that I just mean when I have more disposable income, but like, I can definitely do an game. But I gotta pick one. Do I want to pick one that we played on stream and that is like super sick? Super sick. Why am I not moving so fast? I'm still scooping. Go away. Or was it? Oh, maybe I wasn't scooping? I don't know. Hey, Galactic Surfer. Galacta in space! Unlocked Xiangling. I know, I saw. I was up when you posted that. I'm here, throttling away. But yeah, I want to get to 20 so I can try and get her. Because I think her gameplay feels the best to me so far. I really like the spear, just like all of her moves are super satisfying. Someone got me addicted to a Pokemon YouTube channel. Bam, that's a community. That does not... I'm glad that you found that. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And because I know you, I'm assuming that you were trolling me. Speaking of your stick, my secondary push-pull trigger cracked. Tore the stick apart for pics, entered service ticket. Issued a tracking number for replacement, no complaints. Awesome. I'm sorry that your shit broke, but like, that's super sick. Pyre, I do love Pyre. I didn't realize that Will had played Pyre, and I was like, oh man, I wish I'd seen that. So he's talking about a specific character. And I was like, I wanted to see that. I've never seen anybody else play it. Not that I've seeked it out. I think I might have the dead zone on the stick too high. I'm gonna have to muck around with this when I get back to the bubble and I'm actually like flying out of Super Cruise. But right now I'm trying to make like little micro adjustments and it's not like clicking on. Anyway, just things that I'm thinking. Yeah, I've been watching Will play it. And then like furiously messaging him going like, oh my god! Like, I did that too! Oh my god, you did this? I did this! And I'm like, I'm sorry I'm spamming you with messages. He's like, it's fine. Pyre hype is fine. And I was like, okay. I was like, are you you know how much of a Supergiant fangirl I am? Do you know what you're releasing into your DMs? He's like, yes, I do. I was like, okay. As long as you're aware, I'm going to be very excited about every little thing. Yeah, so far that has been really nice to watch. It's like a 7-hour VOD, so I'm not done with it yet. I'm like, watch a little here, watch a little there. I really love Pyre. God, I love it so much. I think anyone can do it with some trial and error. Well, you have to be 20 to unlock the gate. Get to 20 and then complete 3 floors of the tower. Getting to 20 is the easy part. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I can get to 20 by Tuesday, and then maybe I can have some of you guys help me out. What was that? We're talking about Pokemon. Get out of here, Simon! You and your mans, your Pokemans. Sphere's kind of fun, but I found Xiangling underwhelming. I loved her when I played the trial, which is why I'm like, give me. I find Fischl underwhelming. I was trying to say unwhelming. I'm like, that's not a word. That's not it. If you were looking for a word, that's not it. Thoughts on Pyre? Let me tell you. Pokemon Channel. I can't tell you how often it hurts me that you didn't fall in love with Pyre the way that I did. I really want to replay it because I was really trash at the gameplay. But I feel like now I might be able to be better. And also, now that I live alone, I'd be able to... Well, I still gotta play Hades. Like, Hades comes first before I replay anything. Yeah, I gotta fix this. It's bothering me. On to roll. No, it's pitch. I don't have a dead zone on the pitch? Are we sure I don't? Because it feels like it's not going off. It's not popping off, as the Brits would say, popping off. Transistor. I want to replay Transistor because I didn't love it as much as I think that I would have because I was playing it all piecemeal. Because I didn't want anybody else to be in the house, and at the time I lived with my brother and he was like always there when I had time off. I was very weird about it. I'm very weird about Supergiant games. I want to sit in a little like hermit cave, like turn off Discord, turn off my phone, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me, don't look at me. This is my time with this game. That's how I like to play Supergiant. Okay, I'm all the way up on the throttle, hello. That's how I like to play them, and I didn't really like click. The gameplay didn't click for me until like the last day or two that I played. So while I loved the story, like I still loved it. It's still one of my top 3 games of all time. But Bastion and Pyre are tied for first, if that tells you anything. Oh, is this one of those tricksy ones where you can't actually scoop from it, but it looks like you can scoop from it? Turd. Don't know if we can help you in the tower. I don't know. You think it's solo? Okay, well. Transistor doesn't get the love it deserves. I feel the same way about Pyre. Maybe it's my curve. You see what I mean, though? Like, I don't know, man. I like this song. But yeah, the games that I want to replay, Transistor is top of the list for games to replay. That is my number 1 replay game because, as I said, I played it really piecemeal. And I think it could be tied with Bastion and Pyre. I just need to give it a more optimal playthrough. Optimal meaning, like, play it. Don't play, like, 1 hour here, 1 hour there over the course of, like, 6 months. You know, seems reasonable, right? Let's see, what other games? If I had the time. Bayer, thank you for sticking your viewers in here. Intercourse. kind of want to replay Pyre, too. I like the Transistor, Pyre, Bastion. That's the order that I would play them in. If I were going to replay them. If I had the time to replay shit. Part of me kind of wants to do Berseria. I just love Berseria and Battletech. But that's like, those are out, like 100-hour commitments. It's a lot less reasonable, you know? Hey, Gooey Side, how are you doing? I'm trying to think what other games, because I have a replay list on Steam, and it's like, wow, these were like my favorite things. Maybe Red Strings Club. The story of that game hit me so hard, but it was so long ago that like I'm fuzzy on pretty much all of it. And it was a really stellar game. It was really, really good. Made by the same people who did Gods Will Be Watching, which is another game that I thought was really fantastic. These are like narrative adventure games. So not like walking sim, but like pixel graphics. It was a lot of like moral quandaries, and I love that shit. Like that gets me. Like philosophical and moral thought experiments and topics, like that kind of thing. Talk about a game that does not get the love it deserves. I think it's been me, Vexy, and Will have been the only people I know who actually know and have played the game. I know, like, I streamed it, Vexy streamed it. I'm assuming Will streamed it. He streams everything. Played none of those games? What? You played no Supergiant games? If you didn't wake me up with, by making me tingle in my giblets with New World release talk, that woke me up with a start, with terror, with shock and horror. Seriously, not even Bastion? Most people have played at least Bastion. So like when people tell me, oh, they've never played any, I'm just like, what? What? They're my favorite games of all time. Darren Korb, favorite composer of all time. Like, I don't have favorite things, so when I am committed to saying favorite, you know it's a big deal. Battletech is great. I've been playing the tabletop version since '94. Recently ordered House Davian custom flag. So played for my porch. That's so cool. That's so cool. I've only played the recent one, kind of like Elite, where I like came into the series with the newest installment. Like this is the only Elite Dangerous game I've ever played. This was the first flight sim, space sim, anything similar that I've ever played. And it's Winnify. Ain't it Winnify? Oh, I have not been booping! Oh, fuck. How many jumps have I gone? Oh, you dingus. Oh, you know. Just like 15 jumps, that's fine. It's not a huge deal. It's just money and like possible discoveries. That's how tired I am, that my muscle memory didn't even kick in for that. But yeah, Battletech just was so good. The story and the gameplay and the art. Just, I don't think I had any complaints about that game. It was just so good the whole way through. But like, I kind of miss and I'm a sucker for turn-based. But it's just like, hot damn. I'd probably make some of the same decisions, but like, just, it's so good. It's just so good. I want to run around in a mech with a bunch of PPC cannons. It's so satisfying, the grrr. People don't have infinite money and time left to be understanding. Yeah, I don't think that was in Toasty's case, I don't think that was the reason. Never heard of them other than you talking about them? Ah! I ended up playing very few video games, usually in a non-committal way. I mean, that's fine. Do what you do. Yeah, I'm just very surprised. I'm very surprised that you haven't even heard of them outside of me being a nerd. Like, that blows my mind. People have usually at least heard of Bastion. The other ones I get were not as, like, well known. I think Bastion, because it was one of the, like, the pioneer Xbox arcade games, and on top of that, it was just, like, really well received, so, like, most people know about Bastion. They've heard of it. I know a lot of games I'd probably love. I want to finish Kentucky Route Zero. That was a good one. I liked Kentucky Route Zero. Not like my favorite thing ever, but it was really good. It was real good.
System scan complete. Fuel scooping.
Alright, slow down so we can get some extra scopage here. Shared your house dabbing and flagging Discord. Excellent. Thank you for watering me. I'm endlessly thirsty these days. Wink wonk. Look, Bastion, Transistor looked not fun. You're killing me. Probably looked uninteresting to me the most. You're very judgy, though. Like, you more than most people are, like, extra judgy. I try to, at least these days, because I've learned how I am personally. Like, I used to think turn-based looked boring as shit. I was like, why would I want to do a turn-based? Like, that seems so dumb. Like, that's not fun at all. Why would I play a game like that? And then I played XCOM and I was like, actually, this is sick as fuck. And that was like the biggest surprise to me. I was like, oh, this is actually one of my favorite types of gameplay. And I thought it was stupid because I just looked at it. So these days I try to at least either give it a try myself or watch somebody else play, and now that I've played a lot of games in my time, I have a much better idea of whether I might like something or not just from watching. Whereas previously I'd like I said, watch a trailer for a thing and be like, turn-based. But you don't get it. You don't get the fun of turn-based unless you've played turn-based. Or maybe if you don't like it, you don't know that it's trash, you know? Like, Snukio. That's an interesting name for this next system. But yeah, I've found, I mean, Elite Dangerous is another good example for me, where I watched somebody play a little bit of it, but I wasn't really paying attention to the game. This was like 6 years ago. And they would play Noir from Blue Sky Black Death. It was just like a whole, like, really chill experience, but it was more about like just hanging out and talking, and the game was in the background. And I was like, I don't know, people whose opinions I trust seem to really enjoy this game. And I remember it being really chill, and like at the time I was just like, well, I kind of wanted something that was chill and that was you know, not a non-story experience. And I won a copy from Bad News Baron's 5-year stream anniversary celebration. Was that last year already? Holy shit, that was over a year ago, because I was still in floral school. I was on my break. I was on lunch break, so I like popped in. And I happened to win. And I was like, holy shit, I guess I'm trying the game now. And I fucking loved it. I just like fell in love with it. I had no idea if I was gonna like it or not. I was like, well, I might like it. there's a large chance I won't like it. But like, it's one of those where you can't tell just by looking. At least for me, because I'd never played a flight sim or a space sim. If you've played flight sims and space sims, you can say like, okay, how does this compare? Or like, what kind of stuff is in the game, and you have a good idea. You know what I mean? So for me personally, know, and this is different for other people, of course. For me personally, I know that in the case of really unique games, and oftentimes games that are not like super, like Genshin. Like me just popping in and watching a couple minutes of it didn't really didn't hook me. I've watched people play Breath of the Wild and have absolutely zero desire to play that game. Does that mean that I wouldn't enjoy it if I actually had my hands on it? No. And I know that about myself. The reason I actually picked up Genshin after, I didn't really watch people play it because it wasn't like visually clicking with me. And it was usually like, oh, I'm gonna raid and then I have other shit to do, so I wasn't like really paying attention. But I saw it on a list of games that I saw at E3 that I was interested in. And I was like, well, if I must have seen something when I was actually paying attention that was interesting enough to me, and it's free, so I might as well give it a shot. And look at me now, I'm like, yay, Genshin! But that's how I am. I won't play something that I don't see as being, that I don't see myself enjoying. At this point, I actually can buy games, so just downloading them to see if I'll like it is not a thing I'm willing to do. I have a lot of games I want to play before I resort to that. Yeah, I get that. In general, I don't buy new games because I have so many others that I want to get to, I get that. I realized this weekend that XCOM is one of the only franchises that I can still pick up a new game on release and focus 100% on until I complete it. I have really good game focus. I'm very much that person. You've seen it over the last 5 years. If it's a story game, I just want to play it until I'm done. Like that, I'm committed. Boss man, how you doing? Absolutely want to play Breath of the Wild, but I don't have money to invest in a new console. Yeah, oh yeah. I could probably borrow somebody's Switch. But, I have other games. So, that's why I haven't bothered trying it. One, because I watched some of it and I was like, this does not appeal to me. I think that's just watching it doesn't click. Same with Stardew Valley. That's another great example of, I watched a lot of it, actually focused on the game and watched, I think it was Sean, play it. And I was like, I do not understand this game. I don't see the appeal. I'm glad people are liking it. But this looks boring. It looks, tedious. It looks like I would not like it at all. And what was I playing? I was playing some game that I think I rage quit. This was years ago. And Bout Tree Fitty was like, you need to chill out. You need something to calm down with. And he gifted me Stardew Valley. And I was like, alright, fine, I'll try it. And I ended up loving it, and I have 100 hours in the game. There's some things that just don't click with me from just looking at them. You gotta have hands-on, and I get that, money is a factor, time is a factor, in just, trying things that don't immediately catch your eye. I totally understand that. I just try nowadays to not write things off, because I know me, and I know that even if it looks like something I won't enjoy, that's not necessarily the case. So it's one of those that I'll tuck it in the back of my mind and say, well, if I've got the opportunity at a later date, sure, why not? Streaming does help, yeah, because you have a dedicated time to sit there and play shit. But Genshin is nothing like Breath of the Wild. It only shares climbing mechanic and art style. Are you sure? Doesn't it share, general combat? General combat? Doing good, just booted this up when I started up Twitch and saw you playing. I had to pop in. Yeah, I love Elite. I'm almost at 300 hours in this game. We're just talking games and jumping back to the bubble so that I can do co-op things and combat and canyon flying because I have this fancy new stick. And as much as I love hexploring, I do eventually want to do other things. I want to do more intense stick things. Like Stardew for the same reason I love Elite Dangerous. It's super relaxing and I have the freedom to do what I want. That's exactly why I thought, well, it's one of the reasons why I thought I wouldn't like these games, because I don't like open worlds. I feel like at this point I can't say that anymore, but like I like things being linear, I like things being small, and I think that really more just applies to story games. Like, yes, Stardew has a story, but you're not playing Stardew for the story because of how it's delivered. Like, you won't get the same sort of payoff because there's too much downtime between actual, like, plot points. If that makes any sense, without spoilers. So, but like, I like having direction. I think it's especially, I don't like open world when it comes to single player story games. In general. There's a way to do them well, where they work for me, and a way where they just don't work for me. But in general, I like a smaller map where I can go search every single corner, open every barrel, you know, where I can feel like I saw everything in this world. And also there's like a very clear story and not too many side quests. I feel like there's a glut of side quests in a lot of games these days, and I'm just like, it becomes too much after a while. I always compare, so open world games, like, okay, so Divinity or
Madam, your phone is ringing.
Divinity Original Sin, the first one, and Dragon Age Origins. The size of those games were perfect for me because they felt big enough to feel alive and to feel very open without actually being this gigantic sprawling mess that would take you thousands of hours to actually look through the whole thing. And for story games, that works for me. Like, that feels nice. It just, like, that's what I like. That's just, I like, that's the experience that I want. More, like, larger, more open world games that worked really well for me were Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima. Reason being that, yeah, those are huge, sprawling maps, huge open worlds with lots of extra crap to do, but the crap to do is not actually crap. Like, I felt like all of the little side things added to the world in a meaningful way and helped enrich the experience at large. Whereas, I'm gonna pick on The Witcher 3 again, did not do a good job of that. There's like endless side quests and endless like other little things to do, but they felt very hollow and they didn't feel like they added to the rest of the world. It was all like the same thing, like, Geralt, spooky monster, kill it. Okay. Or like, hey, these people are hostile and they're standing near a chest, kill them. Okay. But it very much felt like they just plopped shit down in the world because they had this huge map and needed to put stuff there. It didn't feel like it was adding to the world building or the lore, or like, it wasn't adding to anything in a meaningful way. That's how I felt. Future Wolfington, hello. Hey, Bread Theory, how you doing? You also have a fancy stick? Is it in your pants? This and Stardew, in my opinion, are build your own story. Oh yeah, I would not classify these as story games at all. Yeah, there's a ton of lore to Elite, but it's like Dark Souls, right? There's lore in Dark Souls, but you're not like following a story thread through exactly in the same way as other games. That appeals to you. Building your own story appeals to you. I mean, it's got its place. I definitely love this game. I love Stardew, but in general, I prefer experiences. I like self-contained experiences. I don't want things to go on forever. Obviously, there are exceptions, but like, I would rather be told a story than make up my own story, in most cases. Like, I'm not playing Elite Dangerous to make up my own story. That's not why I'm playing. I'm playing because mechanically it's really fun and, like, soothing. It just, like, feels real nice. And also, I can play with other people. But, like, I'm not sitting here making up a story about why I went to the center of the universe, which is weird coming from a role player, but that's a very different thing to me. It's funny how my brain is categorizing all these things. I've got like story-based single-player games has its category. Open world single-player games has its own category, and sometimes they work for me and sometimes they don't. Open world games where you like fill in the gaps and you don't have a direction, you can just like do whatever you want, has a very specific time and place for me. I wish I died. We haven't heard the song in forever. Witcher 3 did good in your mind. Fallout 4 felt an inch deep sea. I watched Dukes play Fallout 4, and the side quests in those felt really valuable. Like, they had unique story and added to the world. Again, I wasn't playing, so I was only keeping like half an eye on it, so I can't really judge that. But yeah, for me, Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima did the extra content in a very large world, in like the perfect way, where I wanted to do and complete, we'll say 99% of it. I know Mana's gonna bring up the cauldrons. Lord Whalen, hi! I think the side quest in Witcher 3 adds to the world the points of interest not as much. I mean, I have very strong opinions on Witcher 3, and I think that while it's a good game, it's very flawed. And I was very vocal about the flaws. Like, I did not like The Witcher 3 as much as I liked the first one. The first one is my favorite of the Witcher series. And I know that that is a wildly unpopular opinion. But, like, in terms of not just story elements, but, like, gameplay as well, I liked the first one the best. And I know that that's a so weird take, but that's what I liked. Not like in Dragon Age Inquisition where you actually had endless generated pointless side quests. See, I loved all the crap in Inquisition. I don't remember how much side stuff I did. I did a lot. I did a lot in that game, but I don't remember, like, what specific side quests. Stick is always in my pants. It's safe there. Safe from the outside. Keep it nice and warm. Mom taught me D&D at 11, so freedom in games hits that nostalgia itch. Well, like, I roleplayed on Neverwinter Nights. Inner Scrotum Centaur Arm! We're now entering Inner Scrotum Centaur Arm. It's been a long time, Inner Scrotum Centaur Arm. That's a hot take, I know. Well, and I'm not suggesting that my view is, like, right or correct, but in my very much only my opinion, that's how I felt about it. Deck 9 of my big spaceship has started printing. That's exciting. It's because Yennefer is an absolute garbage person, isn't it? I mean, feeling like the game was trying to push me towards being in a relationship with her when I highly disliked her and thought she was utter trash. I did not like that. That's for sure an issue that I took. I hate Yennefer, Triss's Bay. I can't speak because spoilers, but if you do exclamation point search quote and search for Yennefer, you will see my feelings. I hate her. I thought that the Witcher series on Netflix was it was told a lot better than the Witcher games. I still want to read the books at some point, but like at some point meaning years from now. Like I'm just getting to the point where I'm not like instantly cranky when someone mentions Witcher 3. And it's because of stupid reasons that had nothing to do with the actual game. I just got really tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again because people didn't listen when I said it the first time. Basically, people on YouTube like trying to argue with me over shit that I didn't actually say. Just like putting words in my mouth and not actually listening. I was like, I explained my point exactly, but you seem to have ignored that so that you could argue with me. And that drives me up a fucking wall. Inquisition had one point that generated endless quests in every single zone. It's hard from an OCD-ish obsession to complete everything. Unless you realize they would never end. It's been a while since I played Inquisition, so I don't remember what side quests you're talking about. There are certain types of side quests in games that I'll ignore, especially if I realize that you can't complete them. It's like tickling the back of my memory. I think I remember something like that, but I think I just ignored all of those. When I say side quest, I mean like story-based side quest. I didn't really do anything that wasn't gonna tell me a story. Like I did all of the companions quests. It's like Aerith in Final Fantasy VII. Many people loved her, but I can't stand her. I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time in my first year streaming, so that was like 5 years ago. I liked Final Fantasy VII, but I did not have a connection to any of the characters the way that I do in other games. Like, they were very bland to me. Like, their personalities didn't, like, make me feel for them. There was one moment that I can't talk about because spoilers, but it was like some side character in one of the quests. And like that made me actually feel things. And I was like, oh shit. Hey Azrael, how you doing? So like, the other characters, I was just like, yeah, I like them, but I don't love them. And that's the way to get me through a game. The number one thing that will draw me through a game experience is the characters. If you have characters that I love and that I'm invested in, the plot can be cliche and, you know, nothing spectacular. I don't care. The gameplay can be nothing special, a little bit janky. I don't care. If you have characters that I love and care about and I'm invested in, I will put up with a lot. Or I say put up with, but I will just like the negatives or the mediocrity of the other game elements won't even occur to me because I'm like so blinded for my love of the characters. So number one for me is characters, number two is plot, or like story, overall story. Like the characters don't have to be the most original if you've got a really intriguing story, so like that kind of counterbalances. Gameplay for me is third. I don't play a game for the gameplay usually. There's obviously exceptions, but in general, again, when I talk about games, I'm talking about single-player stories. But like, gameplay is not a thing that will bring me through an experience. If I'm not invested in the characters and I'm not invested in the plot, the gameplay alone is not enough for me to continue playing the game, even if it's super fun. Unless the game, like a good example is Into the Breach. Yeah, there's kind of a story, but that's not about the story, you know? I'm trying to think of one that's like about the story. I think I probably dropped them though. Because if you don't give me characters or a good story to be invested in, no amount of gameplay or like shiny graphics is not going to do it for me. Final Fantasy VII was out for 20 plus years. Pretty sure spoilers are okay. No?
Frameshift drive charging.
Have you never? You've been here before. Exclamation point spoilers, dude. I played it for the first time 5 years ago. Are you saying that people should have just been able to spoil it for me? Just because I didn't grow up with consoles. How was I supposed to play that game? I have very strong feelings about spoilers, and like, expiration date on spoilers is not a thing. People discover things at different times in their lives. And I'm not gonna like say, well, I'm allowed to spoil it because I found it first. In like that short version. Pay for a game that was purely Blitzball? I don't know what Blitzball is. Sorry, my eyes are really cloudy this morning. I'm trying to read and squinting. Electa doesn't want words in her mouth. She likes other stuff like food. Books are great. Oh, for The Witcher. The TV series does a great job of portraying the first book. Yeah, So, a big problem that I had with The Witcher series as a whole, not just the third one, but it was especially troublesome past the first, going back to The Witcher. So, again, I'm not going to discuss specifics because of spoilers, but I feel like because of plot reasons in the first Witcher, certain storytelling shortcomings didn't matter as much as and then they became worse in the second, and then the third one was the worst in terms of storytelling, in my opinion. And one of the things that I felt that the games fell short on was, and this is kind of a pet peeve. So the games assumed that you would have a lot of knowledge from reading the books. I didn't read the books first. That's like 7 fucking books, and these are 2 different types of media. I think if you are doing a thing, telling a story in a separate media form than it was originally, you have to expect that there are going to be people new to the world and to the story. And especially if you're doing a role-playing game, you have to inform them. At least a little bit. And that was a big, big pet peeve of mine. It's like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know who Geralt is as a person. And I don't like a middle ground when I'm role-playing. Either give me a completely blank slate and I'll fill in my own backstory and my own set of morals and blah blah blah, or give me a fully fleshed out character where it's very clear what they would do in this situation and how they would feel, and I will roleplay them happily. Don't give me a middle ground. Don't put me in the middle of that where, well, you can play Geralt your own way, but then also characters have a very specific reaction to him based on something that you didn't do, that he did in his past as a fully fleshed out character. Like, that really bothered me. That's a pet peeve of mine, and I acknowledge that probably bothered me more than other people. But there seem to be a lot more gaps, especially in the third one, where it's like, They just assumed that you would know who these people are, how Geralt feels about them, and how they feel about us without any sort of background. I'm just like, well, okay, fine, but I found that very, very irritating, and I found that to be poor storytelling. You know, I'm spending hundreds of hours in these video games, and I still don't know what's going on. Like, that's a little much for me. However, if it had been like, I'm starting with the third one and they make references to the first and the second video game, and I have not played the first and the second one, I understand that I'm probably going to miss some stuff. Like, because that's the same media. So that puts the onus on me to either, like, read up on what I missed beforehand, or just accept that I'm not going to, that they might reference stuff that I don't get. And that's not to say don't put in Easter eggs or whatever, or like make references to, but don't make me make decisions based on something that I have no knowledge of. That really bothered me. So without spoilers and specific instances, but that happened a lot in the third one. Like, a lot in the third one, whereas that didn't happen as much in the second one, and it rarely happened in the first one. So that's part of why I liked the first one the best, but I feel like the Witcher TV series did not assume that you had prior knowledge. So they did a pretty good job of offering enough background on these characters for people new to the series, or new to the world, rather, while not bogging it down for people who already know all this and don't need to hear it again.
Frameshift drive charging.
And now we'll stop ranting about The Witcher. Final Fantasy VII is very bland. I liked it back when it came out, but I feel like story doesn't age well. Yeah, I think the same thing occurred for Tales of Symphonia. I really liked Tales of Symphonia, more than Final Fantasy VII. But the characters all were very, like, anime stereotype cliches. I still cared about them. I still really was interested in the plot, but, like, I was like, yeah, these are just, like, cliche anime characters, like cookie cutter. But I also realized that I was playing the game as this was an older game, and maybe back when it was released, they were fresh and new, and not your typical. So, like, maybe they were the first of, and then everything else copied that. So I was like, you know, maybe that's why. And then I went on to play the other Tales games, and Berseria is, like, top tier in my opinion. I loved Berseria so much.
Frameshift drive charging.
I still want to play Final Fantasy VI, but I need to get a version of it that is acceptable. Fred told me I'm not allowed to play the Steam version. Xenogears is a God Squaresoft game. I don't know Xenogears. You liked 3 and 10. How come you didn't like Assassin's Creed? Why are you... Do you just want me to rant about games today? I don't think ranking what matters most in a game is really that important. I mean, in general, no. But just, I know what I like, and I know what works well for me. I just meant it as, in general, and obviously there are exceptions, as I said. In general, I have to have characters that I care about, or plot that I care about, to bring me through an experience. And if they don't have those elements, I'm not going to be as invested. Some games are designed to be endlessly replayable. Right, and I'm not necessarily talking about those experiences. As I said whilst I was talking, I mean more when I talk about games at large, I'm usually referring to single-player, story-based games. I'm not talking about other things that are not that, because that's a whole different category. Just like we were talking about, like Stardew and Elite, very different. I'm not, when I talk about games and what I like in games, as I'm playing Elite Dangerous, has nothing to do with anything that I just said. There's no characters in here. There's no plot, but I have almost 300 hours in the game. Like, clearly I love the game. But, like, so that's a totally separate thing and not what I was talking about. I tried to express that whilst I was talking, but bears repeating. part of gaming discourse that drives me nuts. I mean, I get that. If we're talking games in a general sense, you have to umbrella at some point. You have to use umbrella terms, otherwise you aren't able to even discuss it if you just keep opening up. Well, on the other hand, then there's this and this and this and this. We all, like, it's implied. It's implied that yes, there are other types of games that do not apply to what I'm talking about. But for the sake of having a coherent conversation, bringing that up in the middle of trying to make a point, at least for my brain, it's like we all know there are other things that don't apply to what I was just saying. I hope that was clear. Actually connected more to 8 than any other Final Fantasy, but that was an introvert young adult at the time I played it, so there's a lot for me to connect to. Tyler Tungsten, hey, how you doing? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on chat.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
They gamified the book in The Witcher? I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel at any point like I needed to read the book. I did a lot. I mean, you know that. I've talked about The Witcher fucking extensively over the last few years. But yeah, Final Fantasy VIII. I shit talk Final Fantasy VIII a lot. And I try not to do it around new people, specifically because, again, it's what I've been talking about, is that that's a single player, story-based, narrative-driven game. But I didn't connect with any of the characters. I didn't give a shit about any of them. So I was like, okay, well, I'm sort of interested in the story, so let's sort of see where this goes. But the plot was just, like, kind of non-existent for the first, like, 14 hours that I played. The gameplay didn't connect with me. Like, I'm sitting in tutorials for an hour, and I still don't understand. Like, if you're trying to teach me a thing, you did a really bad job. Like, so there were no characters, no plot, and no gameplay for me to, like, grab onto. So it was basically lacking all of the things that would pull me through until maybe the other stuff got better, or, like I was saying, like, there are things that will pull me through and I will ignore all the other stuff that maybe I don't like as much. It didn't have any of those things for me, and I actually asked somebody who was, like, super obsessed with the game and literally in the stream only for that game. I was like, does this get any better? And as much as they loved the game, they were like, no, not really. I was like, okay, and I dropped it. So now I tease my friends who love Final Fantasy VIII. But I was one of my favorite, like, mean YouTube comments I got was on my Final Fantasy VIII VODs. And they said that it showed, because I don't like the game, it shows my lack of character. And that's just, like, as a human being, it shows my lack of character. And I thought that was the funniest shit I'd ever heard. Recently started reading the Witcher series. Stories don't set up a lot of background and just sort of expect you to catch up as you go. There's a lot of Geralt meets guy you've never met before, and they mention stuff you've never read about. Just go along with it. I feel like that's not always a problem for me, especially because I think Figure 4, if I were reading it, that works a little bit better for me if I'm reading it, because I'm not in charge of making Geralt's decisions, right? Like, I'm just reading his experience. What are all those in a line there? Let's check out the system map for this. I'm just curious. Oh, is that just rocks? Is that literally just rocks? I got excited over rocks. I don't know, it looks cool from here, though. I don't think that's just rocks. There's gotta be stars. No, whatever, let's go over there. I'm not making it to the bubble today. To be honest, they also want us to be in love with Yennefer, and we had no idea what she was like. Yeah, they want us to be in love with Yennefer, and my only experience from the video games, which was my only experience with The Witcher at the time, was Yennefer is always an asshole for no goddamn reason. And I was like, I'm not into that. Like, that romantically, if you're just, or friendship-wise, if you're just gonna be mean, and I don't fucking even know you, like, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to be around you. Like, whenever I read romance novels, It's a lot of romance novels. It happens in other genres, but it's like the mean person who like secretly underneath all of their trauma that's coming out as them being mean, they're actually nice underneath it all. I'm like, yeah, I don't have the patience for that. Either be a decent person or I want nothing to do with you. That's like some toxic ass bullshit that I don't have time for. Fix your shit. Handle your own business. This goes for real life too. I was like, I'm just not into that. Like the whole asshole, but secretly they love you. Like, I hate that. Recommendation order would be playing Witcher 1, then reading all the books, then the last 2 games for reasons. I understand. I think I understand. This shit looks cool. I guess they're not all in a line, they just all happen to be sort of roughly on the same plane. Oh boy. Don't careen into there! Whee! Well, that was a fun little detour. Wouldn't be surprised if Geralt was kind of written like Indiana Jones. Watching those movies as a 30-year-old, that's a weird experience. Because I had seen the first one in 2007, and I liked it. But I also, I had a much higher tolerance for a lot of stuff. But now as I've consumed more media and I'm older and I have less patience, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I still liked the movies, I still enjoyed them, but there's a lot of that, like, ooh, I can't stand you, I hate you, let's make out. Like, that relationship type does not work for me. And it's like, I kind of overlooked it for the first one, but it's like a different person in every movie. I'm like, what happened to the other one that you seemed to have an actual connection with? You had like this whole history and backstory. It's just like, it's weird. Welcome to Witcher Elite Cast, your daily Witcher 3 podcast. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up. Indiana Jones the same way. He had all these people in his history and they're just introduced them like they're old friends with deep pasts. That doesn't bother me though. 1, because of the role-playing aspect, and 2, because I didn't feel like the content of their relationship was the important part, with the exception of one of the relationships in the first one that I really wanted more clarification on. But for the subsequent films, like, yeah, people show up and they have a history, that's fine. Because it's not, like, the decisions and the rest of the experience that you're living through with them is not reliant on knowing their whole story. If that makes sense. Like, the most important part is that they're friends and they clearly care about each other. That's all you really need to know to get why, like, so-and-so being kidnapped. I'm making shit up at this point. But, like, let's pretend in Indiana Jones, like, Schmuck Diddlioso comes up and is like, Indy, oh my goodness, do you remember what happened in Lebanon? Oh, what a crazy night. My head still pounds thinking about the hangovers we had the next day. Like, I don't need to know what occurred. I know that, like, oh, they're like old drinking buddies. They care about each other. Like, that's all the information I need so that when Schmuck Diddlioso, or whatever I called them, gets kidnapped and Indy's like, oh, fuck, I gotta handle this, that's enough emotional weight for me. So I'd be like, I get it, you're friends, you want to help your friend. Gonna take Lupin for a walk. Be back later, have fun with spacefaring. Alright, Bear, thank you for stopping in. It's good to see you. Enjoy the walk with Lupin, and we'll see you another time. Hey, BHS! I'm so far behind on my fuck. Squalls and Weiner, Renoir's blah. Quistis was thirsty AF. I think that's why I liked her the best. You didn't identify with Squall, you were shit out of luck. I didn't identify with anybody. And I don't have to personally identify with a character to enjoy them or like them. But I didn't care about any of them. None of them made me care about them. Whether I connect with them in a personal, like, I get what you're going through from a very personal standpoint kind of way, that's not necessary. Just got the official quest. Nice. So much of 8 was Squall's character progression through inner monologue. Only like Quistis and Selfie and the excellent summons. I didn't even get that far. Played the game all the way through, but it was a slog for me. Should be working. Have fun, guys. Thanks, BHS. Most of the time. What is that over there in space is going to end up being, is that just rocks? Stars are just really hot rocks. Yes. Guys, I caught up on chat. Oh my fuck. We do like rubbing butts here. We're into butts here, not assholes. Well, it takes a very... I'm not gonna go down that line of conversation. Never really went back and rewatched Raiders. Scared you as a kid? Aw. Schmuck diddlioso. Spoilers for upcoming Indiana Jones 5th movie. But yeah, it's like different mediums of storytelling. There are certain elements that work better for me than others. When I'm playing a video game and I have control of a main character, like I said, either give me a blank slate and I will fill in my own idea of who this person is and what their history is, or give me a clear idea of who this person is, and I will happily roleplay in their shoes. Like, putting me in a weird, like, middle ground of the two does not work for me. I know that most people don't have that problem. That's a me thing. That's a me problem. Not going down that hole. I only go down that hole on special occasions. Wonder if New Matrix will be any good. I don't know. I mean, also, storytelling nowadays is very different than storytelling back in the day. Oh shit, oh shit. Sorry, just, I'm warm enough that I wanted to turn my heat off. You know, there's a lot more finesse, I feel. There's different conventions for movies these days. I think books in general, there's not so much of a disconnect. But like film has just changed drastically. Like the style of acting, the style of storytelling, it's just all very, very different now. Which I find fascinating, and I still find value in older stuff. But I do realize that a lot of the things I would be watching as a modern person are like products of their time, and so like I have to have leeway with them. Hey, Polygeekism. Something like The Witcher, too much in between. Yes, for me. For me, I was very bothered by the fact that Geralt seemed to be a fully fleshed out character, but then sometimes they're like, you play him however you want, honey. And I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like that. Or that they just didn't give me enough information about who I was interacting with and or how Geralt felt about them. It was either one of the two or both. Because I was like, well, I can't make an informed decision on, like, an informed role-playing decision. Like, I have no idea how Geralt feels about this situation, because you didn't tell me. You did not give me a good enough idea of who the fuck this person is. Of course, always with consent. Consent, whenever I'm joking around about stuff, consent is always implied. I don't joke about not having consent. It's not a joke. That's not funny. I don't like it. That's another thing that does not work for me. Hey, Marcus, how you doing? It's odd. I've read Lord of the Rings several times, bought the movies, DVD when they came out. Never finished watching them. They just didn't catch you. See, I watched the movies first. I saw them each in theaters and absolutely loved them, and then I went back and read the books. I can't watch the theater release of Lord of the Rings. I have to watch the extended versions. I can't watch the regular ones anymore. Consent is a hardline requirement, yes. And I sometimes make the assumption that all of you know me well enough to know that that's the case. But sometimes there are newer people or people who haven't been around during such conversations, so it bears repeating. always consent. 8-bit dame, holy cannoli, how have you been? I haven't seen you in like a billion years. Thank you for being a patron of Hype for 8 months. I hope you enjoyed your parade, and here's your royal salute. I'm the opposite, tried reading Lord of the Rings, I was expecting it to be like The Hobbit. I was very, very wrong. See, and I love... Like, that style of storytelling is very specific, and it's not for everybody. There's a lot of details. And some people are like, stop describing the tapestry to me. And the tablecloth, I don't give a fuck. And I'm just like, yes. Tell me about the warp and the weft. Yes! Like, I love that shit. That does not work for everybody, and I get that. And there's also a lot of stuff that... There's some events that seem unnecessary in the books. But I actually took a Tolkien in the Middle Ages class when I was in college. And, Swamp! And we discussed things like Tom Bombadil fucks up with that guy. Like, why is this in here? Etc. It was a great class. I wish I could take it over again because I don't remember a whole lot. Interesting thing about Geralt is I feel there are now 3 different Geralts. Netflix Geralt is a total jerk with good reasons. Book Geralt can be a jerk, but he's a decent person at his core, but professional. Game Geralt is a good person when I play him, because that's how I game, yeah. Yeah, it felt like they wanted me to be sort of a character that didn't give a shit, but then they were also like, but also you can help these people out of the good of your heart. That's one of those things where, like, it felt very incongruous. And I never got a clear idea of who this person was. I don't know that when I was watching this series that I felt like Geralt was a jerk. It's totally possible that he was. I just don't remember that, because maybe... I guess I just wasn't focused on it. I'll trust you that he was. Is your opinion on Shadow from American Gods, who's purposefully detached? Well, again, that's a different medium, though. If I'm reading a character, I'm not in charge of trying to determine what this character would and wouldn't do. What? The Dickhole McGee's. Bird Theory, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Tylo Tugsten. Tylo, is this your first time being a patron of the Hype? Looking forward to the Wheel of Time series on Amazon. I've been re-listening to the books that I read so that I can finally continue that series. I've only been reading it forever. Stream detail and storytelling, please reference Wheel of Time. Yeah. But yeah, Polygeekism, to go back to American Gods, I didn't have a problem with Shadow as a character. I don't have a problem with characters that I don't quite understand, but like that's part of the whole story, is to learn about that character. And try and figure out why they are the way that they are. Why are they reacting this way or not reacting at all? And I guess I didn't really see Shadow as detached, maybe just more stoic. Which can read as detachment, but I feel like detachment is more... like I actually don't feel for this, that, or the other. Whereas stoic is you might feel stuff, but it's not apparent from the outside. But again, I wasn't trying to roleplay Shadow. So having a character that, like, I don't really know how they feel about the situation or how they would react doesn't matter because I'm not in charge. The onus is not on me to make that decision. It is! Alright. It is the very first time. Here we go. Hang on. Hang on. We gotta thank Red Theory for making Tyler Tungsten a brand new patron of the Hype. So we're gonna do a dance, we're gonna celebrate the brand new patron of the Hype. We're gonna celebrate, we're gonna celebrate, we're gonna celebrate, oh yeah. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate. We're gonna do a dance, oh, we're gonna do a dance, we're gonna do a dance, oh yes, we're gonna do a dance, dance. We're gonna do a dance, oh, we're gonna do a dance, oh, we're gonna do a dance for you. We're gonna do a dance, yeah, do a dance, yeah. We're gonna do a dance for you. Gonna do a dance, a funky, thank you dance. Because Red Theory made Tyler Tungsten a brand new patron of the Hype. Had to lighten up the serious storytelling discussion with silly dance. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a serious discussion, but it is very cerebral. That is true. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Don't leave! You're not allowed to leave. Not allowed to leave. Now let me catch back up on chat. I'm actually loving this conversation. I love talking about this shit. And hearing, like, how other people view things and, like, what works for them in terms of storytelling. Like, what do you like in a video game? It's not going to be the same as me. We've discussed this before in the past. Like I said, characters are number one, followed by plot, and then gameplay. For some people, if the gameplay is not, like, fully the best and, like, engaging and fun for them, it doesn't matter how good the characters and story are, they just don't give a shit. I don't understand that. Like, intellectually, my brain goes, I don't get it. But, like, that's fascinating. For some people, they just can't stand a game that has shit for graphics. And it doesn't matter how great the game is, they're like, I just can't even look at it. That's fine. People are different. Alright, scrolling up.
3, 2, 1,
First thing that came to mind, I really picked that up as a kid. I did too! Fell asleep multiple times trying to get past the first 3 chapters. I guess I wasn't a kid. I think I was in high school. But, like, on the younger end of high school. I was waiting for the train, and I went into a bookstore. And I just saw it, and I thought the cover was interesting, so I just, like, picked it up and bought it. And I loved it, because, again, all of that shit works for me. The extreme, unnecessary detail, that just works for me. I like that. It doesn't necessarily bother me, so, you know. Never finished the book and got a D in English class because of it. Reread the Wheel of Time series many times. I'm going to dive back in after I finish a couple of other books. He's just a curmudgeon in the Netflix show. He's definitely cranky. American Gods, the audiobook, is the best audio storytelling I've experienced. Who reads it? Because I prefer my first time through on books to be me reading the physical text. Audiobooks are for either nonfiction only, because it's not an interpretation or like an acting choice that's being made to deliver the information. It's just relaying the non-fictional, like, factual information. You know what I mean? Outside of that, for when it comes to fiction, I like my first experience with a book to be me reading it, because I don't want the actor's interpretation. I don't want the narrator's interpretation. I want my interpretation. And the way that an actor chooses to read a sentence can give it a very different feel and sometimes even a different meaning. And different underlying meaning, I should say. So like I want my first time to be what I think, you know? And I want to make up my own mind about this, that, and the other thing. And then hearing, it's kind of like when I play games, like don't spoil, let me come up with my own ideas about it, and then we'll talk about it at the end, and you can tell me if you like thought the same thing as me or if you thought something entirely different. And I find that really fascinating. But it's the same for me with like, to a lesser degree, with an audiobook. There are some exceptions, like LeVar Burton reads as a podcast. He reads short stories. For some reason, short stories get a pass from me. I don't know why. I don't know why, but they do. But like LeVar Burton reads, where he reads short stories, fantastic. If Neil Gaiman is reading something, I don't care what it is, that's fine. I think it's because I'm so used to his voice at this point that like if I read one of his books, I hear it in his voice anyway. Wheel of Time ending left you so empty. I'm so far behind, I never finished. Did Roberts actually get to pen the ending, or was it fleshed out from an outline? I think it was from an outline. I don't know the specific details, but I know he didn't like write it. Sanderson wrote it. But I don't know how much information's, I think, like, I don't know if Sanderson made up any of the plot points or what. That I don't know, personally. One on Audible, different voice actors for different characters. Oh, that's cool. I think he had written out what the ending was, but not the way to it. Okay. So I'm catching up. Thank you for your dance. You're very welcome. Watching the masterclass with Neil Gaiman, and the goal was that Shadow completely shut off his feels. The story is him coming back to life in a sense. Interesting. So yeah, like that's kind of what I was saying, the difference between stoic and detached are different to me. So I guess I interpreted it the way that Gaiman intended for it to be. That doesn't mean that other interpretations are wrong. That's part of media, is that once it's out of the creator's hands, whoever's consuming it gets to have a say in what it means. And that's the mark of a good piece of media, I think, is when people have different interpretations about the meaning of stuff. Like, I think that's real good. Like, you interpret it a different way than somebody else. I think that's a mark of a good piece of media, when it has multiple avenues that are equally valid. I think Lecter needs to start Stormlight Archive series. Is that the Mistborn ones? Or is that the Mistborn series? Because I read Mistborn and I loved it. And I want to continue with that one. Dennis Boutsikaris. Boutsikaris? LeVar Burton is amazing and his daughter is an absolute treasure. I don't know anything about his daughter, but given that her dad's an absolute treasure, I'm not surprised. Treasure runs in the family. Like perspective discussions, so many ways to view the same thing, right? I think it's really cool. So my experience with Wheel of Time, I've been listening to the books recently. Reason being that I read the first 4 books when I was younger, and I was about halfway through the 5th book. This was in 2004, so 16 years ago. Holy shit. I can't believe that was 16 years ago. Oh my god. I can't believe that was 16 years ago. Holy shit. Okay, sorry, I just had a little conniption there. I just had a little short circuit. Not conniption, that was the wrong word. I had a little short circuit there. So I was halfway through the 5th book, and I was at camp. I was at sleepaway camp, and I left the book there. I left it like up in the rafters that were above my bed, my bunk bed. And the book was still there the next year when I went back, but it was a year in between. And I don't have the best memory. So by the time I got the book back, I didn't remember what the fuck was going on, let alone what happened in the previous 4 of them. So, and I didn't want to have to reread like 500 pages to get back to where I was. And I was like, well, should I, like, how do I pick this back up? Because I still wanted to finish the series. I own all of the books, by the way. Like, I have them all. I own them all. but I just never finished them. So now that, because of work, I can listen to things, but I can't really like watch stuff because I just move around too much. I've been listening to, because I was like, you know what, that's a good way to do it, because I've read them already. I already had my interpretation back when I was little, and I don't remember what it was, but whatever. So I'm like, well, since it's technically my second pass, I'll listen to them and catch up to where I was. So I've recently listened to the first, the second, and the third. I'm waiting for the fourth from the library. And then I'll probably just pick up the fifth one and go from there, like, with the text, the paperback text. Because I remembered a lot of the stuff from the first one. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. And I remembered only a couple little moments in the second one. The third one, I barely remember anything. I was like, I fucking don't remember any of this shit. Who was that? Simplify It! Thank you for being a patron of the hype for 11 months! I hope you enjoyed your parade, and here's your Royal Salute! How are you doing? Is Burton Canadian enough? Is he Canadian? Same author. Yes, I know it's the same author. I just couldn't remember if that was the name of the series. She goes by... Is that Mika or Micah? It's on Rooster Teeth. I never watched Rooster Teeth. Does a weekly show for Critical Role. Yeah, I also don't watch Critical Role. Okay, so I just missed all the media that she was in. I know that LeVar is very, like, proud of her, and he mentions her sometimes on the podcast. It's real cute. Burton was actually born in Germany. Oh, cool. Pretty good. How are you? We're doing good. Doing good. We're just discussing media at large, and, like, storytelling elements, and characters, and we're just having a wonderful chat. I'm jumping back to the bubble. Pretty sure Mika. I'm scooping fuels. Recently I've been reading, speaking of media that just doesn't quite work for me, I've been reading the second trade paperback of Preacher. I'm almost done with it. And I have the rest of the series waiting at the library. I'm supposed to pick it up after work today. And I'm kind of debating whether I want to or not. I do have to drop this book off. I should probably do it before we're in lockdown. Because the library will close. And I don't want this book kicking around. But just, like, obviously without spoilers, I feel like a lot of... Like, I read the first one a couple years ago, so I don't quite remember... I remember I liked it, but I don't remember if it was quite like the second one in terms of everyone is an awful person. Like, some of them are just shitlords, and, like, they just are. That's just who they are. And others of them, like, I don't remember if the first one had enough, like, backstory and, like, history, like, of each of the main characters that sort of outweighed the assholishness. Or what? Like, I don't remember if it was that, or if I was just more tolerant of some tropes. Like, I'm trying to think, how do I want to phrase this? I don't have as much patience now that I'm older and that there's so much media to consume. So, like, there's certain things that I just don't have tolerance for, like certain types of stories, like especially with sexual assault. I don't want it in my media anymore. I understand that that is the experience that a lot of people have in their lives. It's like a very realistic thing to add into a piece of media. I just don't want it anymore. Like, I've lived it. A lot of us have lived it. I don't need it in my media. It's just like, I'm over it. I'm sick of it. especially when it's portrayed in a very, like, ancillary, nonchalant sort of a way, or in romance novels, this happens a lot, where it's like, the reason that the main character is the way that they are is because of, like, this history of sexual abuse. And I'm just like, ugh, why does that have to be the defining thing? And, like, it's prevalent. So I'm over it, you know? Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Great cosplayer, too. Oh, nice. Stream trade paperbacks, Monstrous is fucking beautiful. I want to continue on with Saga. I'm waiting. Or at least I was waiting for my old library to have it. I'm gonna make some toast with peanut butter and cinnamon sugar. Ooh. Interesting combo. So yeah, there's certain things in media that I just want to do without. I don't want it in my media. I don't need it, you know? But there's also a way to do unlikable characters that works for me and a way that doesn't. And the example, like, reading the second trade paperback, and I mentioned this in a separate Discord, and I think I brought it up the other day as well. It feels like everyone is a super edgy asshole just for the sake of it, like for the shock value. And I get that this is an older, like, what, this is from the 90s, I think, the early 90s. So again, it was like, you can get away with stuff. Things were different back then. But there's not enough humanity in these unlikable characters. On the other hand, for example, Game of Thrones, I think, did a really good job. Where, like, even the most vile, despicable characters, they were nuanced in a way that made them feel interesting. Like, I wanted to figure out, why the fuck are you like this? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, but I wanted to learn more. I don't mind reading from their perspective because of how it's done, and it's just, like, very well, it has depth to it. So even if you never kind of figure out or hear, like, the reasons behind it, you know that they are there. And maybe you can interpret it based on their actions. Whereas Preacher, everyone feels shallow. And maybe that's just the medium of comics, so you don't have enough pages to, like, dig into it, but I feel like it's kind of a cop-out. But me, as a modern person, it just, everyone's a dick. It's kind of like the whole Yennefer thing. Like, everyone's just an asshole, and I don't understand why, and I don't have the patience, because I don't see any sort of depth to them, or any possible underlying reason. It has to be something there to be empathetic about. Yeah. Work meeting time. Nice chatting with you all. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with us, Tylo. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Work goes well, and we'll see you another day. Like, Cersei's evil and we hate her, but we know why she is the way she is. Yes. And I don't necessarily need all of the answers when it comes to a character. But I feel, I don't know, for me, and I'm sure that people out there disagree with me, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who look at Game of Thrones and be like, this is just brutal for the sake of brutality, for the shock value. There's some media that feels like that. Like later seasons of The Walking Dead, that obviously I'm not going to get into because spoilers. It just felt like you're just torturing people because you need something else to happen now. Like, it didn't feel grounded in the world. It didn't feel like there was a reason for any of it to be happening. And, like, you know, the world is dark enough. Or like The Expanse series, which I haven't watched, but I've read the first 3? 4? I don't remember how many I'm on. I think I've read the first 4 books. I'd have to check. also does a very good job of, like, having characters that aren't the best. They're not necessarily good people. But there's so much depth there, and you don't necessarily find out why this shitlord is the way that they are. But there's, like, something about the way that it's written that just works for me. It just, like, it implies that there's more there, whether you hear it directly or not. That's, I think, what I'm trying to get at. There we go. Sentences! Boys does overtop brutality. Brutality in terms of, like...
Disengaged.
It just depends on the type of brutality for me. First, the actual narrative is very compelling.
Frameshift drive.
I skipped The Boys because I was told that there was certain content in it, and I was like, yep, nope, don't need that. There's just so many other things to watch. I've heard that it's very good, and I might relent eventually. You know what also does a really good job? Cobra Kai. That is a fantastic show. Like, why is that so good? Why is Cobra Kai so good? But just like, man. Like, you're such a dick. You're such a dick. But, like, I still want you to succeed. You know what I mean? Like, it's so...
Frameshift drive charging.
It's so good. Still need to watch season 2. I'm partway through season 2. I haven't really sat down and, like, watched anything except for Mando. I've been doing a lot of, like, put something on in the background sort of watching, so, like, rewatching Buffy, I'll put that on while I make dinner. Or while I'm, like, looking at other stuff. So, like, stuff that I've seen already and I don't need to give my full attention. But Cobra Kai is one where I want to give it my full attention. So, I just haven't been in the mood to do that recently. And then I've been trying to finish various books and whatnot. It's the trouble of being in a book club. Stuck in book 4 of The Expanse, where they aren't on ships. You're in season 3 of the show. I really want to watch the show, but I wanted the books to be the thing that surprised me. So I wanted to get far enough ahead, because I know that the show and the books are very different. But I wanted to get well past the point where they diverge, just in case. I really liked book 4. I think that's the one I just finished. Where they aren't really in ships is a fantastic way of putting it. That's the one I just finished. And it's really, really well done. But given how our actual real life world is, I was like, ooh, there are too many similarities here. I was like, ooh, oh, it hurts, owies. I'm like, God, too real. But I love the books, so I just, like, kept going anyway. It was, like, kind of torture. It was not an escape, let's say. But it was so damn good. Did I flomp in here? I don't know if I flomped in here. Amanda's becoming more and more PogChamp. You're still waiting for the next book. How many are there? Like 8? That are published. Finished the last one, released back in November. It was the non-spoiler description. Exactly, and I appreciate that very much. Eight out, waiting on 9. That's what I thought. This is the random bullshit that my brain remembers. Can't remember the plot of the Red Strings Club, which is a game I was talking about earlier today. But how many books are there in The Expanse? I know that. Why? Why? Why are you like this, brain? Adam Savage is in an episode or two. Oh, that's awesome.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, being alive. My back is... Yikes. I'm gonna need to do some intense stretching when I get home. But first, must aggravate back more because I have to go to work. Actually, I don't know how much heavy lifting I'm gonna have to do at work. I don't know if we're getting anything new in. I have no idea what work is gonna be like today. Could be organization projects, which you'd think if you were a normal person, you'd be like, ew, that sounds like garbage. And I'm like, I fucking love it. Organize me, daddy! I get off on that stuff. I'm just like, yes. Everything has its place. Everything has a home. I know exactly where it is. I love that shit. I got to see Adam Savage as one of the judges for a cosplay contest at TwitchCon. Was that TwitchCon or was that, maybe that was East? Ah! Uterus? What the fuck? No thank you. I mean, if you want to give me my period, just go for it. Ah! But these sharp random pains, not about that life. Oh, ba ba ba. Having a uterus is hard. Having a uterus is an experience that I do not recommend. I'll organize anything you want me to. See, I like the act of organizing it. Like,
Fuel scooping complete.
the only thing I don't like organizing is like paperwork. I thought about being a professional organizer at one point. I was like, I'll come in and like I will organize your belongings. Like, I used to do it for my grandma. I'd be like, Grammy, I want to organize something. She'd be like, there's the closet, go! Just like direct me to the thing that got a little discombobulated, and I'd be like, yes. You tear it all apart and you put it back all neat, and I love that shit. I don't know why I like it so much. Cleaning and like dusting? Nah. Cooking? Fuck that. But you give me a set of objects and tell me, here's the here's a bookshelf. Or something, like, I'm just, like, the happiest. But I have to be in the mood for it. Because it's a different type of, like, creative thinking and problem solving. Because I want everything to be functional and, like, it makes sense that I put this here. I also want it to look nice. So there's, like, an aesthetic element. And then there's just, like, the space. Like, how do I fit everything back in here? So it's like creative and puzzle solving. I love it. It's Uteruses are absolute jerks. My friend is getting his scooped out because periods are dumb. Hell yeah. Scoop out that uterus. Sometimes my ovaries like to be like, hey! You didn't fertilize these last time, but maybe next month. And I'm like, no. And that shit hurts. Grammy. Yeah, Grammy gets referenced a lot. Okay. I'm gonna go on a very brief break so I can use the bathroom and get more water. I'm parched today. It's very dry, which is funny because it's been raining. But I feel like it's dry in my apartment, so I will be right back. Enjoy the tunes, and when we come back, we've got more talking and hanging out and stuff. We got more stuff. I've got about 2 hours left in the stream, so hang out. I'll be right back.